Hello, everyone. It's Junie. I wanted to just show you a Synastry chart on top of Virginia Giuffre's natal chart, hers with Mars. She has her Synastry chart is the red on the outside. The red on the outside is the position of the planets that were over top of Australia the day before she was found. So she was found in near Gabby, Western Australia. And the chart that's blue on the inside is her natal chart. So Mars is an interesting planet. It's a very interesting planet. Mars represents our passions, our desires, how we take action, how we make decisions. Okay? And Mars was transiting from the first house over top of her 12th house, her natal 12th house. Now, her 12th house is pretty packed, and, with what she's been through, I feel like this may have been something that, Mars can help us make a decision, usually on a positive note, but because it's transiting over her 12th house, and the first house is the identity of a person. So, I think that with these two Mars being that conjunct the power of fortune, which represents her sun, moon, and rising sign, I think honestly that this may have been where she's definitely making a decision. I'm not sure what time she passed away, but to me this kind of just shows me that she was definitely having marital problems, financial problems. She could have been having health problems. I'm not sure if she was taking medications. The 12th house. The 12th house does rule medication, hospitals, things like that. Our mental health, and overall, her emotions. And I definitely think there may have been an attack at some point in her marriage. I'm not sure. Evidently, there are claims of domestic abuse, but I'm not sure. But Nessus is there hugging that AC line, so it means at some point she was attacked or something happened to her. It could be from her childhood, it could be from her marriage. I'm not really sure, but this is definitely aggression in the marriage and financial issues with Mars crossing over like that and really bringing it to fruition, bringing it to surface. And it may have been what kind of pushed her over the edge to make a decision. The other thing that I'm noticing as well is her natal Neptune. So her natal Neptune is in blue. That's her natal from when she was born in California. And the Neptune that was transiting over top of her head, between the 25th and the 26th of Australia, of near Gabby, Australia, that Neptune in Australia squared her natal Neptune. What that means is that you're lost in the abyss. So it also is a square going up from Mercury and Neptune. So, she could have had some, communication with someone prior. She may have really felt overwhelmed with emotions, confused, in a fog. Things weren't clear. And I would say she's in an abyss. It's square, so it's not good, okay? She's lost in an abyss of just overwhelming emotions. It's, fifth house, and it's transiting the ninth and the eighth. Eighth is the house of death and transformation and, long distance communication with Mercury there. So, yeah, and it's kind of cuspy there. So, around the eighth house of death, and Saturn is in the eighth house of death. The moon is in there. That's a lot of emotions, guys. I really feel like, emotions about family, emotions about home, her safety, her safe place it felt like a lost, overwhelming abyss. And when we did the asteroid study last night, I pulled a lot of asteroids that deal with overwhelming emotions, and that Ophelia to me was she was drowning. Ophelia drowned due to she drowned herself. But I mean, if we think about that metaphorically, I feel like she was lost in the abyss. The other thing is down here at the bottom of the chart, she has Juno right on top of Jupiter. So her natal Jupiter, her natal Jupiter from California transited her in Australia. Her Juno in Australia went over her natal Jupiter and her natal Uranus. So that is shocking events with relationships, something unexpected happening with relationships, her family, her home. It's the 4th house transiting the 5th house, which rules children. So, and relationships and marriage about children. And I really think that this is where, again, the relationship hits hard. The other part of the chart to pay attention to is up at the top. She has transiting Algol, who is the demon star, someone losing their head, with Uranus over top of her natal Algol. So, he's a fixed star, so they're always hanging out together. But it's the Uranus transiting through there between the Algol. So her natal Algol and the Algol that was over top of her head in Australia are conjunct, and then Uranus comes right through there, and that's just shock, unexpected. Her reputation. It could be online communication with Uranus. It could be, computers, things like that. And I do think there's a level of where she just couldn't take the bullying anymore. Granted, she may have made some of this mess herself. However, I really don't. I think that she was sexually assaulted. So maybe another astrologer might see it differently. Like I said, I'm still learning. But that's how I see it. I could be wrong, but to me, I do think that something did happen to her. I don't know who did it. Okay, I don't think it was Trump. Be honest with you, I don't think Trump is a child molester. However, I do think Trump has put himself in some situations with relationships that he could get himself in trouble because he's got the male phallus of Mars on his AC line. He takes on a lot of characteristics of Mars and Uranus and Algol, and Capulus is very strong in his chart, and so is Regulus. So, could Trump have raped someone? It's very possible. I don't know, though, okay? In his astrology, you kind of are like, yeah, it could definitely happen. But I don't know if it ever happened. But I definitely don't see Trump as a pedophile. So I just want to get that cleared up. Okay. But, that was probably when he was younger, too, in his astrology. So I don't know. But she definitely, I feel like, is a victim of some sort, okay? Whether or not she's a credible person, I really think with someone who's been through so much, you really can't expect them to be a full functioning adult either, right? I mean, I just think she's been through so much that that accident, going into the hospital, trying to say goodbye to her children, she had a restraining order. I think that Juno there with Jupiter, I mean, just expansion, because Jupiter is the gas planet. He's about making things bigger. So her marriage, it got blown up in her mind, in her safe place, her marriage got blown up out of proportion with that Jupiter conjunct Juno, like that, okay? So I do think that she probably made the decision here on the 25th and had the courage to follow through with a decision, and that, she probably did take her own life, especially with the astrology study that we did the other night. Ophelia, she's about a person that is extremely overwhelmed and depressed and drowns herself. And metaphorically, with that Neptune square Neptune, I really feel like she was drowning. She's drowning here. So, okay, that's what I have for now. Again, if you need any help, you can call 988 and just text that. You can text them, or you can call that number over your cell phone. Or you can send them a message. And anyone there would be willing to help you if you're struggling with any mental, feelings of feeling overwhelmed. I know things are really hard right now. With that Uranus square, Taurus, Uranus over top of Algol. I mean, this is people could lose their heads. I mean, yes, we could have another shooting with Trump. We could have another shooting, a lot of shootings in general. Mars is a weapon. Mars is the male phallus, but he also rules weapons, sharp knives, car accidents. I do think we might have issues with our water. Accidents around water, or an infection in water, a fever with water. I'm not really sure, but, there's just things that I'm seeing that, it could also be infection, which we are having an outbreak of measles right now, but, with water as well. And with that Neptune there, it makes things foggy. So there's going to be conspiracy theories about the measles. There's going to be conspiracy theories about all these shootings. There's going to be conspiracy theories surrounding all of this, because that's what Neptune brings. And her death, I think, will always have conspiracy theories lingering around it, unfortunately. Okay, so, be careful around the water. Make sure your water is clean. Keep your hands clean, things like that. We definitely could have more issues with sunspots by this summer. So June through August, we're going to have about anywhere between 115 to 120 sunspots on our sun. That is a ton of radiation that's going to be shooting our way. So we could have more blackouts. We could have more solar storms, issues with satellites, issues with any equipment that, cruise ships, airplanes, with sonar issues, whales beaching themselves, dolphins beaching themselves, bats acting crazy, insects acting crazy. Anything that depends on sonar could really we're really going to see it. We could also have a heat wave. So I've been telling a lot of people to try to look into getting a generator before things get too expensive. And I know it's a big conspiracy theory, but tariffs cost the American person, the American consumer, the most money. I don't care what Trump says. I don't care what his people say. Tariffs are going to break us. So just be prepared. Okay, that's my astrological opinion. That is my spiritual opinion. Tariffs are coming, and it's not going to be pretty. Things are going to be grossly expensive. So be prepared, okay? That's all I can say. My husband, his job is, he works at a package store, or they import booze from all over. They sell wine from all different countries. They are paying about $11,000 a month in just tariffs, extra on top of their purchases. So, his boss has already cut some hours. So things are going to get really tough, okay? I just need you guys to get ready. All right. Love you all. I'm not telling this to scare you. I'm not telling you this to be a Debbie Downer. I'm just telling you this so you're prepared, okay? These are the things that I've been seeing in the astrology. We could definitely have something going on with our water. Definitely. We could definitely have more infections. And I feel like an infection inside the water, whatever that means. And accidents around water, so just be careful, okay? And accidents in general, and shootings, and just, that's all Mars and Neptune, so just be careful. And more Nazi ideology, because the crazy Nazi conspiracy shit, yes, that could be happening too. Okay, that's enough for me. Blessings to you all. Take care of one another. Be kind to one another. Try your best to be decent in these struggling times for our country. Blessings to you all. Blessed be. Bye-bye.